Well, welcome back. And amid the ongoing turmoil in Sudan comes this meeting actually on the high level to shed more light on the cooperation between Egypt and the African countries, especially, of course, the bordering and the neighboring countries. To shed more light on this, we are delighted to be joined over the phone by His Excellency Ambassador Mohamed Shazly, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Your Excellency, it's a great pleasure having you with us.
The pleasure is all mine.
Well, when we talk about such high-level talks between President El-Sisi and General Al-Burhan, in such a critical timing, not only for the African countries, not only for the situation, the terrible and humanitarian situation in Sudan, but for the whole world. The timing, the significance of the meeting as well, your point of view.
The significance of the meeting is to show the really critical situation and the dangers it represents, not only on Sudan, but on Egypt as a neighboring country, on Africa as a whole, and on the Arab world. Few people realize that Sudan is a very critical country in Arab security. Sudan can supply the whole Arab world with food security. They can feed the whole Arab world.
Yep.
Unfortunately, due to the situation in Sudan, Sudan cannot now feed itself.
Yep.
And the World Food Program is sending aid to Sudan. This is really a very sad situation in the world, that a country with so much potential is destroying itself. We see now also that the danger is becoming intensified by foreign forces, African and non-African, interfering in the conflict, helping it to exasperate the situation. Having said this, I think the first step is with the Sudanese people. They cannot let their fate and their future be dictated by madness. What is happening in Sudan is pure madness, and it has to stop. And the first, whatever help they get from the outside, if they do not help themselves to get out of this quagmire, I think it will be hopeless.
Yes, Your Excellency, when we talk about the Egyptian clever diplomatic tools, using them within or across the African continent, and how you see the Egypt's growing leadership and presence within the country in a time as a counterbalance to other international powers and the superpowers who are always trying to find more existence in the African continent?
Egypt has always had a pivotal role in Africa. You cannot forget that Egypt was one of the countries behind the formation of the Organization of the African Unity, which became now the African Union. Egypt has always presented its aid and its cooperation to develop African sovereignty. We have helped all the African countries during the phase of their struggle to gain independence. We have stood beside the people of South Africa and Rhodesia against apartheid. We have stood against the imperialist powers, whether it be British, French, or Portuguese or Belgium, and we have helped all these countries to gain their independence. After the independence, we have given them economic and cooperation.
Development support.
We cannot forget the role of the Egyptian companies that have been facilitating the trade of Africa with the world, and the experts that Egypt has sent to help the African countries, and the Egyptian companies that have built the African infrastructure.
Yeah.
This, gives Egypt leverage in African affairs and the trust within the African countries that we are using very strongly to maintain the freedom and the sovereignty of Africa.
Yep. Your Excellency, when we talk about the African or the Nile Basin countries, of course the meeting tackled also the water cooperation between the basin countries, not only the devastating situation in Sudan, but how you see realistically the actions in the Blue Nile Basin. What does this mean for the GRAD file and the future water cooperation across the country?
Water is a source of life and should never be transformed into a source of conflict and death and violence. The water in Africa is plentiful and can meet the expectations of all the countries. Egypt gets out of the Nile 55 billion cubic meters of water. Ethiopia, the amount of rainfall on Ethiopia is 1,000 billion cubic of water. So this shows that there is water plenty enough for the needs of everybody. What is happening is that external forces are trying to create conflict between two basic African countries and two basic countries in the Nile Basin in order to weaken Africa and in order to facilitate the infiltration of foreign powers and imperialistic powers in the country.
Yeah. Coming back, Your Excellency, to the internal situation and devastating situation in Sudan, which now the people under the more than the poverty line, and they are lacking the basic services of life, fuel, food, medications, everything. So when we talk about the humanitarian situation and the military situation in Sudan, what your point of view, your assessment concerning the main obstacles for the for regaining and remaining the stability and security in Sudan?
As I told you before, Sudan is one of the richest countries in the Africa with its resources. Sudan has nearly 200 million acres of arable land. It has over 150 million heads of cattle. It has gold. It has oil. It has an enormous potential, and it could be a very rich and affluent country. What it has also, the Sudanese people in the diaspora, they have a great potential. There are doctors, there are engineers, there are lawyers, which can really transform the country, but they are kept away by the violence and the war that is going on. I mean, the cornerstone of stability and prosperity in Sudan is peace, and to stop this mad war that is going on and consuming the country and its people.
Yep. When we talk about the role of Egypt and the pivotal role of Egypt behind the scenes also in terms of brokering or facilitating regaining the peace and stability in Sudan, particularly through the AU, the African Union, or the IGAD.
As I said, Egypt has invested politically and economically in all of Africa, and especially in Sudan. Your generation, I'm much older than you. I remember the days when Egypt and Sudan were one country. So there is historical roots between Egypt and Sudan that can facilitate a strong role of Egypt in Sudan. You have hundreds of Sudanese experts who have been educated in Egyptian universities. We have lots of Egyptian Sudanese intermarriages. Sudan for Egypt is not another country. Sudan for Egypt is a very specific country. And we feel this in Egypt, and lots of people in Sudan feel the same way about Egypt. But unfortunately, there are, foreign hands and foreign agendas that are working very vigorously in Sudan to keep the two people of the Nile Basin away from one another. We have reached the pinnacle of cooperation between Egypt and Sudan when we had the Takamul or integration program during the time of President Numeri. We had the Nile Valley Parliament. We had freedom of movement between the two countries without a passport. Unfortunately, this great project was sabotaged at some point, but still the traces are there, and we can still build upon it.
Yeah, I wish we could in the near future discuss the rebuild or the reconstruction of Sudan instead of the civil war which devastated Sudan. Your Excellency Ambassador Mohamed Shazly, former Assistant Foreign Minister, many thanks for being with us. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving to South Africa and the natural crisis over there. In South Africa, the Eastern Cape province is roaming and reeling from one of its worst natural disasters in recent memory. So there were torrential rains and flooding between the 9th and the 10th of June, which resulted at least to 101 people dead, among those 38 children, and caused widespread destruction to homes, infrastructure and basic services.